The night shift at St. Vincent's Hospital was always quiet. It was a small, rural facility on the edge of town with just enough patients to keep it running. Most nights were uneventful until Nurse Evelyn came on staff. Evelyn was new, but she had an eerie presence that unsettled her colleagues. She was polite and professional, always in her crisp white uniform. But there was something about her pale, almost translucent skin and the way she moved through the halls in total silence that sent chills down everyone's spine. Rumors began circulating among the staff. Some whispered that she came from a different hospital where strange things had happened. Others swore they saw her talking to patients who weren't on the roster, patients who had already died. It started small, patients reporting strange dreams after Evelyn had checked on them during her rounds. They spoke of her standing at the foot of their beds, watching them sleep, her eyes dark and distant. Some said she whispered to them in a language they didn't understand. One night, everything changed. An elderly man named Mr. Harris was admitted for pneumonia. He was weak, bedridden, and struggling to breathe, but stable. Evelyn was assigned to his care during her shift. Sometime after midnight, one of the other nurses, Emily, went to check on him. But when she entered his room, she found the old man sitting upright, his eyes wide in terror. "She came," he rasped. "The nurse, she told me it was time to go. I told her I wasn't ready, but she didn't care." His breathing grew shallow, and despite Emily's attempts to calm him down, he died minutes later, clutching his bedsheets, his face frozen in horror. Emily was rattled, but when she mentioned it to the other staff members, they exchanged uneasy glances. There had been other patients who had said similar things before they died. Patients who should have pulled through, but had mysteriously passed during the night. Things only grew stranger. One evening, Dr. Caldwell, the attending physician, reviewed security footage to investigate a medication mix-up. While watching the video of the previous night's rounds, he noticed something disturbing. In the footage, Nurse Evelyn would walk into the patients' rooms, but her reflection never appeared in the windows or the mirrors. It was as if she wasn't there at all. The following week, Emily was working the night shift when she heard a soft crying sound coming from the end of the hall. It was coming from the children's ward. When she entered, she saw a small boy, no more than 6 years old, sitting up in his bed, tears streaming down his face. "What's wrong, sweetie?" Emily asked, rushing over to him. "She came," the boy whispered, trembling. "The nurse in white. She said she was going to take me away." Emily's heart raced. "Where is she now?" The boy pointed to the dark corner of the room. Emily froze, her blood turning to ice. Standing there in the shadows was Nurse Evelyn, her face unnaturally pale, her eyes completely black. She didn't speak, didn't move, just stared. Emily backed out of the room slowly, trying not to scream. She ran to the nurse's station, but when she returned with help, Evelyn was gone. The boy, pale and weak, passed away within the hour. By now, the staff had become convinced that something was terribly wrong with Nurse Evelyn. Her presence was always accompanied by death. They searched hospital records, desperate to find out more about her past. And then they found it. Evelyn Hawthorne had been a nurse at St. Vincent's, but not recently. She had worked there over 30 years ago. According to old news reports, she had been involved in a series of patient deaths under suspicious circumstances. It was believed that she had been practicing euthanasia without consent, deciding for herself when patients should die. When her actions were discovered, she vanished without a trace. No one ever found her body. The next night, Emily found herself alone on the floor again. As she walked down the dimly lit hallway, she saw her. Evelyn stood at the far end, her black eyes fixed on Emily, an unnatural smile spreading across her face. Emily tried to run, but her feet felt like lead. The lights began to flicker, and with each blink, Evelyn grew closer. She could feel the air grow colder, the scent of antiseptic and decay filling her lungs. A soft voice whispered in her ear, though no one was there. "It's your turn now." The next morning, they found Emily collapsed in the hallway. Her heart stopped, her face locked in an expression of pure terror. The hospital staff never spoke about it openly, but they all knew. Nurse Evelyn still walked the halls of St. Vincent's. And when the lights flickered during the night shift, everyone knew to avoid the shadows. Because if Evelyn came for you, there was no escape. She always finished her rounds,